Welcome to Daylight. Today is April 28th, 2026. Breaking news is emerging from the United States, where filmmaker Michael Moore has released his latest documentary, Fahrenheit 11/9. This is how fascism starts. The film delves into rising concerns about the current political climate and what many perceive as the encroachment of authoritarianism in American society. With President Donald Trump continuing to maintain a significant grip on power, questions are being raised regarding the implications of his administration's policies and rhetoric for democracy itself. As the nation grapples with pressing issues of governance, public sentiment appears deeply polarized. Crowds are gathering, both in support and in opposition to the administration's actions, echoing a broader struggle over the future of democratic values in the United States. Moore's documentary is poised to ignite public discourse about how fascist tendencies can emerge in a democratic context, prompting a critical examination of the intersections between politics, culture, and civil liberties in this pivotal moment in history. The stakes have never been higher, as Americans from all walks of life are called to reflect on the principles that underpin their democracy. Filmmaker Michael Moore's latest documentary, Fahrenheit 11/9, This is how Fascism Starts, presents a provocative analysis of contemporary American society, where concerns about authoritarianism are increasingly resonant. The release, accompanied by a strong audience turnout for its premiere, features Moore articulating the potential parallels between current political dynamics and historical examples of fascism, particularly focusing on the rise of Adolf Hitler in 1930s Germany. In a packed venue, Moore made a bold assertion about the love and unity he believes persists within American society, framing this moment as part of a historic movement marked by significant challenges. Moore emphasizes that while comparisons between political figures and historical tyrants may not be perfect, they serve a crucial purpose in understanding current threats to democracy. He points out that history functions as a huge resource of patterns, aiding in navigating a period characterized by uncertainty about the state of governance. Citing Germany's past, Moore recalls how, despite being recognized as one of the greatest democracies in the early 20th century, it fell prey to authoritarian rule initiated by a leader who capitalized on societal discontent, notably exploiting new forms of media to shape narratives. The discussion transitions to Hitler's ascendance, notably the event that allowed him to consolidate power, the Reichstag fire, which many historians suggest the Nazis may have orchestrated. Moore draws a parallel to present-day America, urging viewers to consider the implications of leveraging national crises as justifications for curtailing freedoms. He notes that back then, fewer recognized the danger as voters believed that constitutional protections would prevent extreme actions, reflecting a widespread underestimation of how swiftly democracy could erode. The film highlights key elements of propaganda during Hitler's regime, noting how the New York Times downplayed the severity of his totalitarian tendencies, suggesting early observer complacency about the implications of such leadership. Moore underscores this complacency, questioning how similar sentiments arise today as American political elites initially engage with Trump's administration, with expectations of controlling his agenda as they had hoped to do with Hitler. In responding to contemporary fears, he reflects on remarks from Susan Sontag, who posited that the loss of democracy is sometimes precipitated by momentary crises, which Moore argues may already be upon Americans, suggesting that the timeline for such shifts is relentless and immediate. Moore does not shy away from fearful rhetoric, asserting that in light of imminent national emergencies, Americans must choose between genuine freedom and a seductive illusion of safety. Historical patterns serve as warnings. He calls on citizens to mobilize in defense of civil liberties rather than merely reacting to crises with a surrender of freedoms. His comments on the USA Patriot Act illustrate how easily freedoms can erode in the face of fear. Enacted in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, the act authorized extreme surveillance measures under the guise of national security, securing broad public support at the expense of civil liberties. Moore positions Trump's call for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States as reflective of broader societal trends towards scapegoating and xenophobia. evocative of historical instances where fear led to the ostracization of specific groups. The filmmaker outlines harrowing tales of family separations under current immigration policies, deeming these actions as crimes against humanity and lamenting the departure from foundational principles enshrined in the Statue of Liberty, a symbol of hope and asylum. In a contemplative tone, Moore ponders when the pivotal moment may arrive, historically regarded as a turning point, where the loss of democracy will become evident. He challenges viewers to reflect on societal indicators that signal a slide into authoritarianism, whether it be through the struggles of educators forced into secondary employment or the reliance on sheer force as law enforcement roles shift dramatically. Moore insists that the warning signs may not always elicit immediate reactions. Instead, they represent a slow-moving progression toward disenfranchisement. The documentary suggests that comfort taken in constitutional assurances may trap individuals in a cycle of inertia, leading to passive acceptance of increasingly repressive governance. Stressing the urgency of the moment, he claims, hope was wishful and passive and comforting. We didn't need comfort, we needed action. This call to action speaks to a growing frustration amongst citizens towards apathy concerning political engagement. The filmmaker's reflections resonate with calls for a systemic overhaul, advocating for a collective awakening to oppose the very structures that facilitated the rise of leadership that many now regard with disapproval. Moore continuously elicits critical self-examination regarding the American identity, questioning entrenched societal norms and the apparent prioritization of certain rights, notably the right to bear arms, over the well-being and safety of children. He makes a haunting observation on the gradual normalization of autocratic sentiments and actions under the current administration, linking the populace's successes and failures directly to their evolving conceptions of freedom. The documentary ultimately serves as both a warning and a rallying cry, urging viewers to confront uncomfortable truths about their political landscape and galvanizing a quest for profound systemic change before it becomes irrevocably too late. Moore concludes by insisting that the necessary transformations must be pursued with urgency. Only through concerted, immediate action can the country hope to reclaim its foundational principles and work towards a future where the democratic ideals of liberty and justice prevail. The film extends beyond entertainment to serve as an essential catalyst for national discourse, compelling audiences to not only reflect but to act in the face of significant political, social, and cultural challenges. As we reflect on the themes presented in Michael Moore's documentary, Fahrenheit 11/9, we are reminded of the delicate balance between democracy and authoritarianism. The film serves as a stark reminder of how civic engagement and awareness are paramount in safeguarding democratic values. In our current political climate, where divisive rhetoric and populist sentiments continue to shape national discourse under the administration of President Donald Trump, it is essential for citizens to remain vigilant. The narratives we choose to amplify and the actions we take in response to political developments will ultimately determine the trajectory of our society. As we conclude our broadcast, let us engage in thoughtful conversation about the challenges we face and recognize the importance of active participation in democracy. Thank you for joining us on Daylight News TV. We look forward to seeing you next time. Stay informed, stay engaged. Good night.